Ed, in Cliff's work, like yours, dates are difficult to nail down, but temporal markers are an easier way to gauge when an event may take place. In a previous Coast to Coast interview, you laid out the dominoes as the unthinkable event, US defaults on its debts, and the global financial collapse. This is concurrent with a worldwide influenza pandemic, then the use of nuclear weapon in anger by North Korea in a short war which China resolves, then the kill shot. In your timeline, where do other events fall into the sequence, which are a US space shuttle is forced down, damaging New Madrid earthquakes, crustal shift? And are there any other events we should look out for?
Well, essentially, it's a confluence of events. It's all the stuff hitting the fan in such a short span of time that it becomes confusing even for the best of remote viewers. And the biggest event, though, is the kill shot, because that's a global catastrophe, an absolute global catastrophe that kills most people. And that's the indicators and warning role that we have as remote viewers. What are the deadly events? Because we're trying to protect people's lives. We're trying to get the word out, hey, this is coming down, make some choices or not. And the big one is the kill shot. All the rest of the events they're almost back to back in terms of the next 2 years. So they're all being clumped together, and it's becoming difficult for us now to put any sort of timeline together because of this confluence that we're talking about. And there's no time to do it anymore. We have to start taking care of ourselves, because you can't help other people if you don't take care of yourself.
Is there a particular event that would occur that you're really quite confident in that will occur just before the kill shot? Is there anything that could maybe alert us that the kill shot's nearly here?
No, there isn't yet. I mean, we could try to do it, but the thing I know for sure, that I feel, not for sure, but intrinsically, I feel strongly about analytically, and I'm very concerned about, is that the scenario that we outlined about the kill shot is concomitant with this large passing space body that passes between Earth and the Sun. And here comes this comet that people are talking about, and that's the thing that makes me feel with a great deal of certainty, personal certainty, that we're on the cusp of this particular series of events, and it's time to start digging in real fast. Because if I'm not mistaken, that comet, I haven't studied, is supposed to be in our neck of the woods by October, if I'm not mistaken, that first pass through. So that gives me a personal timeline in my life. I'm moving. I'm moving allegorically, and I'm moving physically.
Cliff actually had a question. Are you still in the stands, or are you back in America?
Say again, please.
Yes, Ed. Cliff was wondering, were you still in Ukraine, I believe, or are you back in the U.S.?
At the moment, I'm back in the Sacramento area, which is my U.S. base of operations. I live near the Russian border in Ukraine, Lugansk, with my fiancée.
Fantastic. Okay, the next question is from Green Meadow.
Hi, Ed. There have been many predictions of water inundation. What do you think is the cause? Global warming, ice age, pole shift, expanding Earth?
Well, we know the Earth's core is changing. It's changing. It's changing in terms of mass and in terms of its electric value, whatever that means, magnetically. So that could. That's one thing we know. As far as the rest of the geophysics, I don't know. I believe that the weather changes we're seeing, which I predicted 20 years ago, that they're going to be so fast and furious, and the vicissitudes are so great and so fast with regard to weather changes, we're just not going to be able to grow food crops above ground anymore. They have to be in controlled areas, and so the vicissitudes of weather change are going to really preclude growing any crops the way that we've traditionally grown them en masse, big food farms and those kinds of things. So that's going to be a cause for starvation right there. As far as what is causing the flooding and all of these other things, I think The best that I can determine is it's this interaction between the sun and the Earth's core that we've been watching for a long time, that physicists aren't really aware of how strong that flux is between the sun and the Earth's core. If you really want to get an idea how bad things are going to be, take a look at Saturn, at that storm, on Neptune, at that storm and on Neptune. That's huge, unprecedented in history. Well, that's because the sun is affecting the entire solar system. It isn't just Earth. There's enormous weather changes on the inner and the outer planets as well, the gas giants particularly.
Yeah, there's actually a huge storm on Saturn as well right now.
Yeah, it's the sun. It's the sun affecting the solar system. It's not global warming.
So when this comet comes through, how do you think it's going to be reacting with the sun and the Earth? What's the danger with this comet? We
think there's some type of, it interferes to some type of, there's an electrical alignment of subtype, an electromagnetic alignment between the Earth and the sun, and somehow this starts to perturb, and there's a perturbation in this that's either caused by the comet or something like that. I'm not a geophysicist, so I don't understand the physics involved. Even if I were, I might not understand the physics involved. All I know is, head for the hills.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Ed, just a quick one. Also, interestingly, on December 21st, 2012, Jupiter apparently is behind the Earth in regards to the Sun. So all the the mass of the barycenter center of the Earth and the Sun aligns with a solar flare hitting the Earth. So, it gives more credence, I guess, to the Mayan date. We go on to the next questions from Happy Man.
Okay, this question is from Party Pup. You have previously stated that you believe Whitefish, Montana is one of the safest places to live during the coming shift, but I understand that you no longer see that area as ideal. Can you please tell us why that area was once desirable and why it is no longer desirable?
Easy question answer. Because I screwed it up. That's why. I screwed it up. No,
okay.
Yeah. I remote viewed the sanctuary for one individual. He complained that he was the walking dead because of the kill shot. I said, look, this is what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll remote view your own sanctuary, find out where that is, and I'll talk about it on the radio. After talking about it on the radio, and Whitefish was perfect. The water, the drinking water, comes straight out, unfiltered from the lake. That's how clean the water is up there. Very few places in the U.S. There's a lot in Canada, but very few places in the U.S. where it's that clean water, and the population's great, young cowboys and strong, young, vibrant population at the time. Well, I screwed all that up by talking about it on Coast to Coast with millions of listeners who immediately packed up and moved there with their guns and bunker mentalities. The real estate agents loved me. The mayor was on my case, and the residents that were living there moved out. So it was my fault that happened. It was a great sanctuary until I said that on the radio. That's why when I do sanctuary contracts for people, I not only advise them, I tell them in very strong words, if you care about yourself and your loved ones, keep this information confidential. Don't let other people know that this particular spot is a sanctuary. Otherwise, the same thing will happen that happened in Whitefish when I screwed that up. And that's why it happened. People didn't lock their doors in Whitefish. I know one person that moved immediately from L.A., bought a condo, and when it came time to turn the keys over, there were no keys because this individual, the seller, never locked his front door. And then when he finally found the key, the lock was rusted because it was never used. Well, all that changed after my faux pas.
I see. Well, then can you identify which areas of North America would be most desirable to live in during the pre- and post-shift years, and why?
Well, the why is because they will have fresh water. They will have small populations that are relatively isolated from the madding crowd, who will not have a lot of vehicles to move around. They'll have people that are not necessarily like-minded, but who work together. But the water supplies are particularly. People are going to need fish. They're going to wherever you have streams and lakes that have fish in them. That's very important because you're not going to be able to really grow a lot of food very well and very fast. but those streams and lakes will supply you with food.
Okay.
I can't get into specifics because I'll do the same. The same thing will happen. That happened with the whitefish case. All the people that your listeners who are selfish and bunker mentality will move to those places and ruin it for everybody else. And it'll become death zones. They'll set up claymore mines and traps and everything to protect their land. I'm not kidding. That's the type of people that's what a bunker mentality is all about. And you need other people. You have to have other people to get through this. But it can't be folks in Oakland, California, or Detroit. That's not going to work.
Do you feel it's latitude related?
Yes. Yes, to a great deal. I guess it's both latitude related and coastal related. You got to be away from the coast, and you have to be at higher latitudes. Those are the key survival patterns we're seeing.
Above 40?
We actually have a few spots, believe it or not, down at 34. But down at 34 in certain zones, yeah. But most of the locations are up higher, 38 to 45, 38 to 44.
Okay, very good. Does your viewing suggest that Yellowstone will be a concern for those living in that region?
In terms of a mega volcano?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Because that's what everybody refers to when they generally ask me that question.
Right.
Mega. We haven't seen it happening. Because it's not there, we actually do have sanctuary locations that aren't far from Yellowstone. So the global universal mind wouldn't give us those if a super volcano was going to disrupt lives, to say the least.
Okay, thank you for that. Without the benefit of remote viewing, it is difficult to know what preparations to make for upcoming Earth changes. Aside from stored food, water, and alternative energy sources, a growing number of awake and aware people are preparing to build or are currently building underground shelters. Is there anything you or your students have viewed that leads you to believe that an underground shelter is a critical component in preparation?
I don't know. It's critical for some people. That's how we first began to see. I won't go into the technicalities, but in many of the original sanctuary work, which started about 10 years ago, the individuals for whom we were doing that type of work, we were describing them as being underground, yes, in types of bunkers or basements. But again, it has to be in the right place because your supplies are going to run out. You're going to have to come out of that bunker sooner or later. And whatever you're going to come out to, it better be with neighbors that help each other.
And to go fishing.
Right.
Okay, thank you for that,
Ed. Ed, I'm not sure if your group has remote viewed it, but if you were gonna remote view it, or if somebody else wanted to remote view it, what would be the search terms for say the next mega volcano eruption? Would that be what you would look at to see what the next big one would be, like a Yellowstone?
No, we wouldn't use the term mega eruption because we don't know. We haven't experimented. We don't know how with the term mega. We don't know how the matrix would adjudicate that particular term, so that we wouldn't want to go in with an experiment. We'd have to also isolate the search. What would be the intent? Would it be globally, North America, Europe?
Globally. Yeah,
globally?
I'm pretty worried about Lake Taupo in New Zealand. That's quite close to Australia, and that's a mega volcano as well. So yes, globally.